President Trump made this announcement on Wednesday, and it kind of set off some alarm bells right away. He announced a 90-day pause on certain tariffs, and these weren't like the regular tariffs, the kind that just apply across the board. These were you call them customized, I guess. They were higher tariffs, and they were specifically aimed at countries that, the U.S. saw them as having a history of unfair trade practices. But here's the thing: while most countries got this pause, there was still this lower 10% tariff hanging around. And get this, China, they actually got hit with an increase to 125%. That came right after they retaliated with their own measures. Now, right before all of this, like literally as the market opened that Wednesday, President Trump is on social media. There are these two posts that really stick out. The first one says, "Be cool, everything's going to work out well. The USA will be bigger and better than ever before." And then not long after that, he posts, "This is a great time to buy DJT." So he's got these posts right on the heels of the tariff pause, and he catches the eye of two Democratic senators, Adam Schiff and Ruben Gallego. And they're not messing around. They send a letter, a joint letter, straight to the White House Chief of Staff and the U.S. Trade Representative. They're basically demanding an urgent inquiry. And what are they worried about? Well, the big concern is insider trading, or maybe some other kind of shady financial dealings. Thinking maybe someone close to the president, maybe even family, or someone in the administration knew about this tariff change before it was public, and they maybe took advantage of that. So in their letter, they lay it all out. They say, look, the timing of this announcement right next to the president's social media post is a huge red flag, ethically and legally, because let's be real, the president and his inner circle, they have access to information that the rest of us don't, and they could definitely use that to make a profit. And then they bring up Elon Musk and Tesla. Tesla's stock price shot up like 18% right after the tariff pause was announced. And the thing is, Musk had actually been against the pause before. So Schiff and Gallego, they're not letting up. They want all the financial transaction reports from anyone in the government who knew about Trump's tariff strategy. Oh, and by the way, they also mentioned in the letter that Senator Schiff had asked back in February about whether Musk was following all the conflict of interest rules. Note, because of this whole back and forth of the Trump administration, but they never got an answer. Now, the White House, they came out swinging direct. Their spokesman, Kush Desai, he basically says this is all just partisan games. He's like, the president is doing what he's supposed to do, reassuring the markets and the American people that everything's going to be okay, especially with all this, fear-mongering from the media. He's basically saying Democrats should be working with us, not playing politics. But that doesn't really solve the questions, does it? If you like what you're hearing so far, please consider liking and subscribing so you don't miss any of our deep dives. So anyway, you've got Representative Mike Levin, a Democrat from California, and he goes on social media and he's openly wondering, could this be market manipulation? Because, that's illegal. And he's talking about fairness, right? He's saying, yeah, maybe some people saw Trump's buy tweet and made a bunch of money, but what about everyone else? What about people getting ready to retire? Or middle-class folks who can't afford to take big risks? They might have sold off their stocks right before the announcement because they were scared, and now they missed out. It's a valid point, right? And then you have Representative Stephen Horsford, another Democrat, this time from Nevada. He's in this hearing with the U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, and he straight up asks him about what the president's trying to do. Like, is this tariff pause some kind of market manipulation scheme? Greer, he denies it, of course. He says the administration's goal is to, reset the global trading system. But Horsford isn't buying it. He's questioning how much progress they'd actually made. And he kind of throws out there that maybe the only people really benefiting from this pause are billionaires. Ouch. Right. So then, to make things even more complicated, the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, chimes in. He tries to explain the tariff pause. He says it's temporary because President Trump wants to be personally involved in all these negotiations. Apparently over 75 countries are interested in making deals. But Bessent, he calls it a processing problem. He's saying every single agreement is going to be different, it's going to take time, and the president has to be in the room for all of it. And oh yeah, he also says this pause is a way to put pressure on China, kind of a strategic move. But then the ethics experts get involved, and things get really interesting. This professor, Kathleen Clark, who specializes in government ethics and corruption, she says, under normal circumstances, what President Trump did would be investigated by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. She explained that they'd be looking for evidence that the president knew his announcement would shake up the market, and that he was purposely telling his followers to buy stocks so they could cash in. And she's pretty blunt, she says, in a system where the rule of law actually means something, this would be investigated, no question. But when the SEC was asked about it, they refused to comment on the president's tweets. So now, of course, the stock market goes a little crazy. Right after Trump's announcement, the S&P 500, it just takes off. It ends up being the biggest single-day gain since, it's just right after the 2008 financial crisis. So yeah, all this market chaos just adds fuel to the fire, right? Democrats and ethics experts, they're even more suspicious now. And President Trump, well, he does address the situation, kind of. He talks about how the bond market is being tricky, how it's volatile, how people are getting spooked. But he denies that the bond market had anything going to do with his decision on the tariffs. He said some people are overreacting, they're getting yippy and a little bit afraid, but then he says these champions, they're not scared. He's basically saying, I did what had to be done. No other president would have been tough enough to do it. He also throws in that the economy was looking pretty glum before he stepped in, and that sometimes you got to be flexible with policy. And then you have Senator Schiff, now always a critic of Trump, and he kind of sums it up. He says, American businesses need to know what's going on. They need some certainty and predictability in economic policy. And right now, they just don't have that. He's also worried about all those Americans who lost money in their retirement accounts. He says they need to be made whole. So to wrap this up, on Wednesday, President Trump announced a 90-day pause on these customized tariffs, the ones aimed at countries the U.S. considered to be playing unfairly on trade. And this immediately raises concerns, especially from Democratic Senators Schiff and Gallego. They're worried about insider trading, given the timing of the announcement and the president's tweets telling people to buy. They demand an investigation, and things get pretty heated with the White House, who basically accuse them of playing politics. Then the stock market goes wild. The S&P 500 is a huge jump, and that just makes things worse. Other Democrats, like Representatives Levin and Horsford, start talking about market manipulation. Ethics experts say this whole thing needs a closer look. The Treasury Secretary tries to explain the pause, saying it's about personalized negotiations and putting pressure on China. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of unanswered questions, like what were the real motivations behind this tariff pause, and what does it mean for the future of the economy? We're left wondering, did anyone benefit unfairly from this situation? And is this kind of unpredictable policymaking really good for the country? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. And if you found this deep dive informative, please like and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth discussions. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.